Hey everybody, sad day today in the world of professional wrestling. The American Dream Dusty Rhodes, one of the most iconic and legendary figures in sports, professional wrestling, passed away today at the age of 69. Dusty Rhodes was one of the wrestlers I grew up on as a kid. I became a wrestling fan in 1988, and in the spring of 1989, these wrestling promos started showing up on WWF television, promoting this guy called the American Dream, the Common Man, in all these crazy little videos that the WWF used to do back then, and they did for a number of years, and every now and then, and they would promo wrestlers. You know, the legendary Mr. Perfect videos, and videos for the Bushwhackers, and Akeem, you know, stuff like that, and they did these videos for the American Dream, who I didn't know who this person was. At the same time, I had just started becoming a fan of the NWA, and I was renting VHS tapes of NWA wrestling because their world champion was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who I knew from WWF television. And I became a fan of the NWA, and I started renting older wrestling tapes. And lo and behold, I saw this guy named Dusty Rhodes on some of these VHS supercards. And, you know, Great American Bash, 88, and Starrcade, 88, and, you know, a couple of their, you know, Bunkhouse Stampede and stuff. And so I became a fan of Dusty Rhodes. And in 1989, when he debuted at SummerSlam 89 to fight the Honky Tonk Man, in his polka dots and, you know, the American Dream theme song, which is still pretty catchy if you ask me, I was hooked right away, and I loved how charismatic this guy was. He wasn't your typical wrestling shape, and it's a huge compliment to Dusty Rhodes that, you know, you could say he was, you know, husky, fat, maybe obese, but man, he had talent, and he could wrestle for an hour, and he had great wrestling moves. I mean, if there was ever a picture, a stereotype picture of maybe someone who was overweight, but, you know, fit, like, he was that. And Dusty Rhodes, for everything he's ever done in wrestling, I mean, he's a former 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion when that title meant the world, which is huge. You know, and he won numerous United States television titles, multiple TV champion, NWA World Tag Team Champion. He never won a title in the WWF. You know, I think he should have won the Intercontinental title at least during his run. I think his run was only a year and a half, from like the summer of 89 to like February of 91. And Dusty Rhodes in that time, I mean, he appeared at WrestleMania 6 with Sapphire in a mixed tag match against the late great Macho King Randy Savage at the time and Sensational Queen Sherry. He feuded with the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase in a great feud. He had great matches with Ravishing Rick Rude and the Honky Tonk Man and other wrestlers, and he would appear on Saturday night's main events. That's how I knew Dusty Rhodes. And then as I became more and more a wrestling fan and would buy more wrestling magazines, I understood and learned more about his history and what he meant to wrestling in the 70s and the early 80s. And he started his career in the AWA with Dirty Dick Murdoch, and they were the Texas Outlaws, one of the most feared and hated tag teams in professional wrestling, and one of the best. And then he became a babyface and feuded with Ric Flair forever back in the day, and had great matches with him, and great matches with Tully Blanchard, and Nikita Koloff, and everybody. I mean, Dusty Rhodes is a wrestling legend. And when he returned to WCW in 1991, he was like one of the creative guys. He was the booker. He helped book and make Steve Austin and the Hollywood Blondes and Brian Pillman, and he did a lot of creative things. And Dusty Rhodes, for as great of a wrestler as he was, I mean, he's one of the true visionaries in wrestling. I mean, his mind for wrestling was second to none. You know, people make fun of his bad, you know, decisions and stuff, but I mean, Vince McMahon has a shit ton of bad choices, but Dusty Rhodes, man, he created Starrcade, Clash of Champions, War Games. I mean, that's pretty fucking awesome. And he had lots of good creative ideas and helped push WCW into being competition with the WWF, WWE at the time and stuff, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2007, and one of my top 5 favorite Hall of Fame inductions is Dusty Rhodes. Go on YouTube, go on WWE Network, and look for that stuff. I mean, Cody Rhodes at that Hall of Fame ceremony became a star just the way he spoke. And Dusty Rhodes, let's be honest, if there's a competition for best talker in the history of professional wrestling, it's 1A, 1B, and 1C, and Dusty Rhodes is one of those 3, easily. One of the best promo men and in the game. I'm sad today. It's a sad day to read that. I had a lot of respect for Dusty Rhodes. Obviously his son, Dustin Rhodes, became Gold Dust. And Dustin Rhodes was pretty big in WCW on his own, and then Cody Rhodes, Stardust. Condolences to their family. I'm just a Canadian guy on YouTube who's been a wrestling fan since 1988, off and on. As you get older, wrestling kind of goes away, but Dusty Rhodes was one of those superstars that transcended sports. The fact that CNN is doing a little bit about Dusty Rhodes, and ESPN and other sports networks are taking the time. Dusty Rhodes, just his name, the American Dream, transcended sports and wrestling, so it's a sad day. So I just wanted to say I had a lot of respect for Dusty Rhodes. I loved everything that he contributed to professional wrestling, especially when I was a diehard fan for 15, 18 years there. So my condolences to the Dusty Rhodes family and to all the fans who love Dusty Rhodes, people older than me that grew up with him and stuff. Sad day for professional wrestling. So Dusty Rhodes, may you rest in peace, truly a legend in sports, and never to be forgotten, because wrestling fans are loyal that way. We never forget. So thank you very much for everything you did, and Godspeed